Welcome to FinanceFeeds podcasts. FinanceFeeds is the world's premier interactive Forex industry news source, providing the latest insights and current affairs from within the online trading industry worldwide. Enjoy our latest podcast episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of FinanceFeeds podcasts. On this episode, joining me is Petros Kalaitzis, who's Chief Strategy Officer at FunderPro. Petros, thanks for joining me today and welcome to my lovely apartment here in Limassol.
Thank you for having me, Nikolai. It's a very nice apartment, actually. So it's good to be here.
Thanks. I appreciate that. So we're here today to talk all about prop trading, as you are Chief Strategy Officer at FunderPro. And I wanted to get right into it. If anybody doesn't know Petros, any of our listeners, you guys can find him on LinkedIn or check out the link in our highlights article later. But I wanted to jump right in and say that, prop trading has gained incredible traction in recent years. I think you'll agree. How would you define its current role in the financial markets, and what sets FunderPro apart from other firms in this space?
Okay, it's a very good question to start. Indeed, the last couple of years, we have seen huge growth in the so-called prop trading industry. The reason that I'm mentioning so-called is that for those who are listening and they are a little bit older than you and me, they would say that there are some significant differences between the actual proprietary trading, old school, and the one that we are currently living. Nevertheless, the result is that I think realistically the model started around 7 years ago, but in the last 3.5 to 4 years is actually booming. So I think it's here to stay. I think it's actually shaping the infrastructure and the logic of the sector. We have things to discuss later on, I assume, for regulation part and etc. But the long story short is that it's expanding the horizon on how the Forex industry as such, or the trading industry, is operating. FunderPro is actually, in my opinion, considered a big part of the prop space. And few things that set us apart, I would say that the main thing is that FunderPro has been from day one very open to the audience in saying that the way we are operating in terms of execution and sending the markets directly to the LPs is like a so-called A-book prop firm. So we're still using this as a marketing tool, and I think this is the number one thing that sets us apart from the rest of the competitors.
It's interesting that you say so-called prop trading. I've had other guests on our shows at FinanceFeeds that said their point was, Nick, when you talk about prop trading is a term with respect to like money management, proprietary trading, something completely different. Do you agree that it shouldn't maybe necessarily be called prop trading in the general sense, in the public sort of sphere? It should be called funded trader programs. It probably doesn't sound as sexy, but
it doesn't.
What's your opinion on that?
I think that, look, I have to admit that the very first time that I heard the term, I was also like, but that's not prop trading, because by definition, the prop trading is that the firm is actually trading with its own funds, right? Which the concept is quite close to this, because you're actually funding somebody else to trade with your own funds. For the sake of marketing, I would say that it should be used, even though it's not 100% accurate. I also agree with that. Marketing it is, so
sure. You need to bring in clients, and you need to bring in revenues. That actually segues me into the next question regarding how FunderPro operates. Today, you are both in B2B and B2C markets, and I wanted to find out, can you explain how these two models differ and what unique value propositions you offer to traders and firms, really?
Yeah. So we often get this question, especially when we're actually talking to our B2B clients, or a similar question. So basically, all the technology, or almost all the technology that FunderPro is using on the B2C side, where we are running our own prop firm, can be actually white labeled, and we are having the B2B arm, so we are actually giving the software on a SaaS model, software as a service model, for those who want to start their own prop trading with a white label. There are various opinions on that. There are people who are saying that this is creating a conflict. There are others who are saying it's actually very helpful. So the way we see it is like we have a live example of how the technology should be used. We're actually using the exact same tools that we're giving to you as a B2B client for our own benefit, and we are testing them. If something doesn't work for us, it doesn't work for you, and that actually, the way I see it, it creates value to the B2B customer. And this is the main approach that we have. Obviously, we try to treat this as two completely separated income streams with different teams and different approach to the market, right? But I don't think that there is any other company who is actually at the same time offering both B2B and B2C arms in the prop space, if I'm not mistaken.
Very cool. Very cool. I guess I think there's a difference when traders operate with firm capital, instead of their own. I'm wondering, from your experience at FunderPro and perhaps elsewhere, how do you find that changes the psychology and risk dynamics of trading for the actual users themselves? Kind of, what are you seeing?
Unfortunately, the psychology is way different. And I say unfortunately because this specific topic is actually the biggest nightmare of our risk department. When you are actually have to apply risk management rules on the prop side, especially on a model that everything is sent to the market, such as ours, the mindset have to be completely different. Because think about it, you are coming to our company and you're paying for the demo channel. It's a very small fee, right? You prove to us that you have the risk management skills, and then we trust you with our own capital. FunderPro has a daily payout option. So basically, anybody who is making more than $50 profit, he can withdraw as many times as he wants on a daily basis, right? This is also one of the unique things that we offer. So what we have noticed, and thanks God this is kind of changing, is that people are extremely conservative in the beginning with this. They just generate profits and they follow their strategy. They are consistent. They test our liability and the ability of our company to deliver what we promise. So they check that, I don't know, that let's say that they request for a small payout. First time, second time, third time. And then when they actually see that indeed we are delivering what we promised, in some cases we have seen that somehow the psychology changes. They drop their guards and they are starting becoming a little bit more reckless or less conservative into the strategy. At the end of the day, psychologically, maybe they think that this is not my money. I'm here to make profits. I get 80% from it. So let me try one more trade. Let me do this. Let me do that. And that creates more risk and maybe more burnouts on the capital, right? So it does change the psychology a lot. It does change the risk dynamics, especially on the prop firm side, a lot. And this is something that we are working on. Different companies have different rules. For example, on the trading, some of them are very clear, some of them are less clear. So I would say that this topic that you touched just now is actually a huge discussion, but definitely the psychology is changing.
I think you make two great points, and I kind of always try to relate this to just regular retail trading, right? Where people are opening their own accounts and trading their own money. It seems like any retail trader who is new to Forex or new to CFD trading or other markets, I feel like a lot of the times they do the same thing. They will open an account. They won't necessarily maybe deposit as much money as they would have. They're just testing you out, right? And so they will deposit some funds, they'll make some trades. And I know for a fact that one of the most important thing for retail traders is how quickly they can withdraw funds, right? Whether it's their full,
Yes, true.
whether it's profits or just their deposit or just a share of this, just to test out the broker and just to see how quickly and how easy it works or it doesn't. And I think you've made this point to me several times also in personal discussions that maybe as compared to other funded trader or prop trading firms, the way that you have things set up right now at FunderPro in terms of payouts, right, in terms of withdrawing funds, it's very, very quick and it's very, very transparent. And I think when thinking about just a general retail trader, if I see that that process is very smooth, that puts me at ease and gives me kind of I feel like I would have more trust in a company that can quickly withdraw my funds and not cause any bottlenecks or any issues. But then at the same time, when we speak about a funded trader or a prop trader now having capital that's given to him by the firm, I feel like it should be the reverse. If I am doing something risky myself with my own money, I will, have a certain risk tolerance. If you give me money to trade and you tell me, Nick, go make me some money in the futures markets, I'm going to take a much less riskier approach because it's not my money. And I guess my question here is, why is that? Because if I understood you correctly, you're saying they go through all of these steps, they get comfortable, they see that it's a company that I can trust, everything works as explained, as intended, and then when they move into these stages where they have someone else's capital or firm capital to trade, they're, let's say, they change their strategy to be more risky and not vice versa, you know?
Yes. Okay. To be honest, each person has a different, obviously, psychology and way of thinking. As you correctly said, first things first. First of all, people need to actually trust that. Okay, this specific firm is saying that they will pay me anything above $50, and they will do it daily. With others, I have to wait X number of days or weeks, maybe.
Sure.
So, is this true? Let's try. So they test 1, 2, 3. When we execute, then they say, all right, then indeed this is happening. Now I can be paid faster here, right? And I can get 80% of the profits, just like in other firms, or maybe a little bit more or a little bit less. I don't know. But then I think it's in the human nature that at some point, when you know that you're making X and you can withdraw it today, maybe you can say, okay, what if I make 3 times X, 2 times X? At the end of the day, you're not sitting on your own account saying that if I try to do that, there is a risk that from my, I don't know, $1,000 that I deposit, I will be left out nothing. Here, the logic is, I didn't risk anything, right? I am getting paid, so they will deliver what they promised. Let me try to push a little bit my risk management strategy without burning the limits, because you have drawdown limits, etc. And then when you're trying to do it on a less consistent logic, one day you will be burned out, and in this case you're burning out our money. So again, like, this is just statistics, and for now this is what we think. The image has been massively improving over the time because people are becoming more mature with the actual industry. We're trying to educate people, and don't get me wrong, we have cases that we actually had to interfere and call people and say, listen, this is our money. We are going to pay you, but what you're doing is actually quite risky, and you're taking a risk on our money. So please, can you just adjust the logic here? It doesn't make any sense.
Is there any kind of, based on what you just said, is there any kind of sort of what I call relationship management between these traders and FunderPro, in a sense, where it's not like, obviously you can't probably give like trading advice or something like that, but some sort of conversations where they discuss their trading strategy with someone from FunderPro, and you, both the trader and the company, are on the same page. Is that something that happens, or is that not really something?
Yes and no. So basically, first of all, you're right. We are not allowed, and we don't give any kind of advice. We are trying, and I think this is a common industry thing, we are trying to educate clients, or at least provide education tools about analysis or market trends or whatever you want in order to take a good decision on your trade. We have things where, such as FunderPro TV, like they are heavily correlated to trading. So far, we didn't reach to any specific tool, or I don't know, cooperation, if you want to call it, where we have to sit down and clearly define and discuss with the actual trader what is he doing and why is he doing it. Up to a level, this would be good, but on the other hand, each person is unique. Each person has its own trading strategy. Some use technical analysis, some fundamental analysis, and etc. So it would be a little bit up to a level. It would be hard to be done, right? Yep. So usually it's in the middle. We're trying to, like, as I said, when we see something that it's completely out of any logic in terms of risk management, we're just politely trying to understand with the client what is he doing. Usually when it's the other way around, especially because we are an A-book firm, if it works, we pay you from the profits that we make also. So, you know, okay, it would be good for us to know why and how are you doing it. But realistically, those who are really good, they're not so open to discuss.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's like their own proprietary strategy,
Exactly.
and they're using it.
And at the end of the day, for us, it doesn't really matter because the result is positive and we're getting the profits from the market and we're just paying. So
Yeah, sure.
it's a win-win.
There's obviously a positive effects of traders doing challenges or already trading the firm's capital on such accounts. But as in regular retail, we know that there have been reports of coordinated groups exploiting prop trading models, for example, through arbitrage strategies and probably other ones as well, just given what I know from retail effects. How significant is this issue, do you think? And what measures can firms take to prevent such activities? Again, given that prop trading today is not regulated and there's no specific ways or tools or laws on the books or regulations to actually protect you as a firm from these kind of activities.
Yeah, it is quite significant, to be honest. Okay, at the end of the day, a risk management tool that can be applied fully regulated forex broker, it's the same tool that can also be applied on the risk department on a prop firm, right? So the arbitrageurs are arbitrageurs regardless if it's regulated or not.
Yep.
We have seen, and from the discussions that we have with other firms in competitors, we have seen quite sophisticated group attacks. I call them attacks because they're targeting and they try to harm the company. So we've seen some quite sophisticated approach, and we've seen also some lower approaches in terms of how complex it is, and so it was very easy to be understood. At the end of the day, it also has to do with what kind of model do you actually offer. So the majority of prop trading firms are actually taking the risk on them. Most of them, they don't send the trades to the market, which means that when somebody will start gaining, you have to pay him from your own pocket. And this is where you can be really harmed by these groups. When you are somebody like us, it's not that we will tolerate anybody, but at the end of the day, we have the discretion to say, guys, we know what you're doing. It's flagged in our system. We don't allow this. Yes, it's profits from the market, but we want it clean. So this approach is a little bit softer rather than, somebody emails me and say, this is what you're doing. I'm just cutting you out now.
Right.
And then you start complaining, etc. So to wrap it up, like we see this unfortunately quite often, more and more often, and it's more or less the same groups that they used to attack regulated brokers now that they are trying to penetrate here.
Yeah.
Just like you said, when there's no regulation, there's no regulation for both sides.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. And you mentioned these groups may be very similar to retail effects. I don't know, is it something that you can discuss in terms of like which regions these traders are coming from? Because in my experience, a lot of the time this is from Asian countries that these types of coordinated attacks happen, just in the regular retail space.
Yes. Look, I think, I don't know if this is actually a myth that was created. I actually think that wherever you can have, I don't know, high frequency traders or people who really understand the technical aspect of how things are working, and they can find a company with less guard in terms of whether it's technology or anything else,
Yeah.
pretty much you can be attacked by anyone in the
Mm-hmm.
world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, indeed, Southeast Asia was on a very general statistic rule number one on this kind of attacks.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there is bigger population there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is true. Like yes, as I said, it's more or less the same as it used to be in the regulated forex space. So
Yeah.
Asia is statistically number one
Mm-hmm.
threat, let's call it.
Mm-hmm.
But practically speaking, it can happen from anywhere.
From anywhere. Because this is becoming a prevalent issue, I'm thinking it's a prevalent issue. Is there any kind of coordination between prop firms themselves to have some sort of blacklists or something like that, or to share information? Because I know this is something that has been plaguing the retail market for a very long time. There have been efforts between individual brokerages. There have been sort of more high level efforts to kind of you just sort of talk about, investigate, and consult on this issue because like you said, these groups can be anywhere. You can be attacked by anyone. And a lot of the time, what they do is they will sort of scope you out. So they will see what is their setup, how does it work, and if they can find some sort of vulnerabilities that they think they can take advantage of, then there's a higher likelihood that they will approach your firm. They will try to open accounts and they will try to do something harmful. I guess it's just a general question, maybe more so. Does the prop industry, do you guys all talk to each other and kind of consult and
Yeah,
communicate?
officially, I'm not personally aware of any official organization or so-called community or whatever you want to call it. So officially, no. However, like at the end of the day, it's a small industry. Yes, we are competitors, but nobody wants the bad side of it in his own firm, right?
Sure.
So without sharing any kind of obviously personal information and exchanging information and data that cannot be shared, I think pretty much when there is a flag or a pattern starting, usually when you go to conferences or expos and etc., there is a chance that somebody will mention and say, look guys, like we noticed this pattern. I repeat, without compromising any security threats, etc.
Yeah.
So officially no, but unofficially, again, we are competitors, but none of us wants the bad side of it into his company. So yeah, and into the industry, right? Because at the end of the day, due to the fact that we don't have a regulation, by default, the approach of people is a little bit more skeptical. There's no regulation, so maybe they are scammers, maybe this, maybe that.
Sure.
Which can happen, unfortunately, but at the end of the day, it's on the company's discretion to keep this clean, right? So if you don't want to scam people, you will not scam people.
Yeah.
Full stop.
But it does sound like you guys should create an association or some sort of organization.
It's a very nice idea, to be honest.
Especially as we move on to the next topics in our discussion with respect to, let's say, possible future regulations and certain laws within the EU that maybe not necessarily have an impact directly on prop trading, but have an impact on firms, just in general, financial firms in Europe. And I was going to ask about the DORA Act, which came into effect in the EU in January. And I know that, it doesn't affect prop firms directly, but I was going to ask you, doesn't it have an impact on the relationships that you have with regulated firms such as, other brokers and LPs because you guys are also in the B2B space?
Okay, the answer is quite complex. Yes and no. So first of all, yes, indeed, DORA doesn't affect directly prop firms. We didn't have any kind of issue with any of our partners, such as broker, LP, PSP, whatever it is. But obviously, regardless if you follow DORA or not, I mean, as far as I'm aware, DORA has some specific levels and or layers in terms of what you have to do if you are in the regulated space, let's say, right? Practically speaking, some of the things that DORA is actually demanding to the people who are regulated are extremely good things to have anyway, regardless if you are regulated or not. So basically, in our IT infrastructure, I think that everybody wants to be safe from a DDoS attack, right? Or as safe as you can be.
Of course.
You have to set up your limits anyway higher. And by doing it on your own, what we found out that a lot of the requirements of DORA in our company were already covered because anyway we want it to be protected regardless if we have to do it or not. Like at the end of the day, it's your money. So it, even though it might not affect the prop firms directly, my personal opinion is that the company needs to have a minimum level of security in the IT infrastructure. It's a must. And if I would be a partner of this company, even though I wouldn't have to do it by law, of course I would consider partnering with someone that has very low security levels and with someone else who has higher security levels, even though he doesn't have to do it.
So, is that something that goes into you evaluating a possible B2B relationship today?
Look, many of our clients are asking. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. In the last few years, I think we all know cases that very big names of the industry were actually attacked in the IT infrastructure. So yeah, somebody who wants to open a new pro firm is actually concerned about security, and this is normal, to be honest.
Yeah, makes sense. Petros, we all know that regulators across Europe are talking about possibly regulating this space in the future. I think possibly even in the United States, there's some sort of discussions going on behind closed doors. I just want to pick your brain and, considering everything you know about the regulated markets and, retail space and previous experience, what do you think such a regulation could look like or would look like? And is FunderPro sort of proactively preparing for a scenario where there may be some laws coming down the pipe, maybe in a few years or so?
Yeah, huge topic, very hot question, regardless of the year and regardless of the time of the year. Okay, on a personal level, I think that people are actually afraid of the regulation because they don't know what to expect, right? So take forex sector, for example. Like there are some quite strict regulations, and yet everybody now accepts them, and there are so many firms operating, and they are reputable and profitable, etc. At the end of the day, no, we don't have a regulation now. Again, is the complete discretion of each company if they want to do things clean or not clean. But that can also happen even if you have regulation.
Of course. Of course.
Just by having the regulation doesn't really mean that everybody will follow it. So on the other side, maybe a legal framework will actually assist all of us in the prop space to clean up the bad reputation people who came into the industry and they try to take advantage, and then they are creating a bad momentum or a bad environment. Yeah. So people are becoming skeptical. Prop firm, not regulated. I heard this happened. I don't want to risk. So maybe that will be up to a level. It's going to be good and needed to clean these things up. I don't even know, and that's a very big question, what would such a regulation look like? Because practically there are no client funds involved. Nobody is sending his money to trade, which is the number one thing for the regulation, right?
Yeah.
So that's the biggest question, I think. And in FunderPro, yes, like we are already an e-book prop firm. So up to a level, we have to do things differently, and they have to be transparent, because when you're saying that you're providing market conditions, it's easy for someone to check if this is true, right?
Yeah.
So we are getting ready. We think that sooner or later something will be implemented. We don't know why. We picked up some brains, and we are preparing for 2 or 3 things that we think that would be able to assist us in being more transparent. So if the regulator comes, tell them, okay, here's our terms and conditions, here we state down, this is how we do it, this is our approach on the marketing, we never promised profits, etc., etc. Something close to the actual legal framework of the forex industry. Maybe not so strict sometimes, so better safe than sorry. We are getting ready.
Yeah. It seems to me that any kind of laws or regulations concerning prop trading in the future, to me, these are going to be like consumer protection laws. These are not going to be strict, rigid forex market guidelines for firms because, like you said, I mean, for a company like FunderPro, you are an A book company. You are already working with LPs who are regulated,
Yes.
who have reporting standards, who have all of this stuff. If we're talking about the EU, right, the MIFIDs and all of this other RTS and all of these other things that exist on the compliance and legal side.
Yeah, GDPR. So they
Yeah,
like in order to onboard us, they are asking
yeah,
things anyway.
yeah.
Like, you
And
need to go through the onboarding questionnaires.
in my mind, it will be some sort of laws or regulations that come around from the other side, from the consumer side of things. Okay, what are the prop firms saying? How are they advertising the services? You know, and what kind of marketing, as they say, like marketing gimmicks are they using or offering to traders? But you know, when I go to FunderPro, when I went to the FunderPro website, it looks like a regulated broker website. It tells me exactly, if I remember correctly, it tells me exactly today out of all of our customers, here's how many customers are basically are successful and who's not successful, which reminds me of a traditional retail brokerage in the US space who has to declare all of this information publicly. You can't have any very, let's say, I don't know, controversial marketing messages. You can't promise profits and things like that. And I know that you know that countries like the UK are looking at the gamification of trading and how firms sometimes positioning trading or investing as a game, so to say, you know, and all of these things, and so they're worried about this. So to me, it's kind of like, okay, whatever is gonna come is gonna come, and at the end of the day, like you said, in any industry, there's always firms that are being proactive, that are taking steps they don't need to take, steps that may even for some time maybe even hinder their not their overall performance, but make them spend more operational capital or whatever it may be to reach a certain standard that they want to reach themselves, knowing that okay, well, we are comfortable and we are happy operating this way, and whoever else is out there, they can just decide for themselves how they want to work, and whatever happens later on with laws regulations is whatever happens, and we know that we are in a good place ourselves, for
Yes,
example.
and again, like back to your previous question, like you cannot possibly know what the regulator will come with.
Mhm.
You can imagine,
Yeah.
because there is a decent framework. Some things I think should be logically implemented. Okay, so if you're having, I don't know, European clients, it cannot be that you're not taking into consideration GDPR and stuff like that. This is quite normal. Yeah, like maybe sometimes we're doing things that we don't have to do, but at the end of the day, we believe that sooner or later things will come. And again, as I said, better be prepared and say, okay, we have this. In the worst case scenario, maybe we have to adjust it. We don't have to build it from scratch.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I guess my concluding question is really about predictions for the future. I mean, we ask these questions, I think, ourselves every year. You know, at the end of every year, we're like, okay, well, what should we expect next year? But I feel like the prop industry is still quite young, even though it's been around for a number of years, but still, as compared to, let's say, other other types of trading businesses that are out there, if you had to predict, what do you think may be the biggest shift in prop trading over the next, let's say, 5 years? Is it an expansion of the markets that the traders are trading, for example, futures or options, which are becoming a lot more popular in countries like the United States, for example? Or is it something else? Is it something completely brand new that we haven't seen anymore yet, that's very specific to, again, people that want buy challenges, they want to participate in this, they want to manage, you know, firms' capital and stuff like that. Like, what's your prediction?
It's always the same question end of the year, and it's always the same hard answer every year. Like, yeah, we cannot be sure, but on a very personal level, futures or options or whatever you want to think about, let's take the different product offering, let's say, because you mentioned futures. This is already happening. It's actually becoming quite popular. Obviously, it is very, very young as a product, and the prop space indeed is young. I think it will be shaped in a logic that it will be plugged in to the portfolio of the regulated companies just as an additional product offering.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And again, on my very personal, humble opinion, this is the closest thing right now to money management related things.
Mm-hmm.
PAM,
Mm-hmm.
copy,
Yep.
stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, and logically speaking, the easiest shift or plug into the existing offerings of the market is that somehow prop trading will be actually, I don't know, maybe merged with PAM systems or copy trading systems, and put it under the umbrella of the money management. Maybe even the regulation in that case can be a little bit more clear, right? Because there is a regulation.
Yeah.
But again, next 5 years, it's a century for our industry.
Yeah.
Remember, 5 years ago, nobody like people were saying you have to pay for a demo account, and the others were laughing.
Yeah.
Yet here we are. So yeah, let's see. It will be very interesting. But I think it's here to stay. Yeah, definitely. I think by now we should actually don't even ask this question because it's been a couple of years that people are asking. Okay, do you still believe in this? Do you still believe that you will be in a pro firm in the next year?
Will it survive?
Yeah, right? Yes. Yeah. I mean, there are companies in our sphere that are making much more money than regulated brokers. Yeah.
You make some very good points with respect to it complementing sort of existing investment products or investment vehicles, if we can call them that, in these forex, CFD, equities, whatever it may be, markets that we all know. And when you were saying this, I was thinking actually in my head, if someone is successful in prop trading, what's stopping them from also opening a copy trading account somewhere and using that same strategy on their own for their own also benefit, right? I mean, if they get traders to copy their trades, right? Or if it's a PAM setup, like a traditional PAM, that they could essentially be, these traders could sort of essentially be expanding their business in a sense, right? They could be trading with FunderPro or someone else, having their accounts there in their setup, and then having separate accounts elsewhere where they could somehow, maybe they don't copy their all their trades, but they're using the same strategy, and now they have their own clientele underneath them that are using copy trading or PAM or something like that. Because to me, it seems like PAM and copy trading are making a bit of a comeback right now, or at least that's what it seems like to me. Where it was popular years back, then it kind of died out. A lot of conversations were consumed by prop trading, demo accounts, or challenges. And now kind of I see sort of copy trading and PAM coming back into the, not the spotlight, but people still bringing awareness to it as basically services that you can use from just regular retail brokerages that are out there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, again, nobody knows, but statistically speaking, the sector has proven that it prefers the safest route. So I think, like, again, on a very humble personal opinion, as I said, it's quite close to money management. And indeed, like, to an extent it is, right? Because the trader is actually managing our money. So it is money management. So let's see. It should be very interesting the next 5 years.
Sure, yeah, definitely. Which, like you said, for us is sort of like light years, but they will go by this quick.
They will.
They're gonna
They
go
will.
by
Yeah.
in a flash. So yeah. I guess, Petros, to wrap up our conversation, I always try to ask a personal or humorous question at the end. I think you told me you are originally from Greece.
Yes, I am.
Okay, northern part of Greece, but you've been living in Cyprus for a good
13 years now.
a good number of years. Do you want to go back to Greece? Is Cyprus better than Greece? Is Cyprus the same as Greece for you in terms of your kids, your family, work, everything else? The stresses of getting into car accidents and getting your car fixed. That's something that you and I discuss because we've had our share of accidents here.
$1 million question. If I want to go back to Greece, I don't think there is anyone who doesn't want to go back to his country. But the question is, on what conditions? Like I'm here for more than 12 years. This is home now, right? I'm actually visiting my hometown maybe maximum twice per year with the kids for the family. So this is the home right here. Cyprus is home now. I'm really missing the some parts of Greece, especially in the summer. You know, like food, friends, and etc. But at the end of the day, family comes first. So right now, I strongly believe that Cyprus is offering a very competitive package for family people, business opportunities, tax, weather, food,
Quality of life.
quality of life, yes. So if you actually have your bucket list and you take, I don't know, 7, 8 out of 10, which it's very good because you will never take 10 out of 10, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Then I think Cyprus is actually a great choice. I would like to go back, but not now. Not on this situation. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, Petros, thanks for taking this time to sit down with us today and talk about.
Thank you for the invitation. It was lovely.
Absolutely. I've been meaning to have an official conversation with you on FinanceFeeds for a while, but we are all very busy, obviously. So I'm glad that we got a chance to speak here, and I hope our listeners will get some value out of our discussion. And
Hopefully, yes.
it's going to be, I think, a busy conference season coming up. So we wish you the best of luck there, and I hope that you and I can continue our conversation later this year, as I'm sure there's going to be other topics that
Oh yeah.
you and I will want to discuss.
We have some quite interesting things coming in our pipeline as FunderPro. Right now, if I share them legal, will actually kill me. So, but through FinanceFeeds, people will be able to spread the news sooner or later. So we have something coming up. It's an important step for our company, and people will like it. At the end of the day, they ask for it. So yeah, I think exciting times are coming.
Great. Awesome. Well, we're going to look forward to that. And yeah, once there's exciting news coming from you, you guys can check it out on financefeeds.com.
Yep.
So yeah, thanks again for joining us, and good luck, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks
so much.
Cheers. Thanks for listening to our latest Finance Feeds podcast episode. For sponsorship opportunities or to become a guest, please email us at info@financefeeds.com.